Oh my god. Oh, what happened? It's on and
I
off.
hit us off the screen by accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just do all that after. Sorry.
Well, I thought I was comfortable at first. Now, why is that doing that?
Doing what? What's it doing?
Back.
What?
Why you all lean like that?
Because you told me to come closer. The hell?
This is not,
I don't know.
I don't know.
What
Don't
you
feel
want?
comfortable
You got
though,
1,000 pillows over there.
right? Hold on, I gotta fix this. Did you share? No.
I don't like sharing.
What are you doing? Okay.
I gotta share.
Technical difficulty. Technical difficulty here. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Alrighty. So I can't even see you on here.
You don't need to see me. They can hear my beautiful voice.
All right, so
We're
we
black.
are back, and we actually started almost on time. It was only like 6 minutes late when we started, but then had to get maneuver in the bed a little bit. So anyway,
Whatever she just said.
so anyway, we've been reading this book like we talked about on when was that, Sunday?
Yes, I
We got through. Let me say this. I'm proud of Jermaine. He actually read a whole chapter like he said he was going to do. I'm really really proud. I'm shocked. And it was an interesting chapter,
End of the live.
and he actually read. So I'm shocked by that.
Yeah, I gotta read two by next week. Oh shit.
All right, so you want to tell me what this chapter is about?
No.
Okay, so this chapter was about becoming aware. It's that's the title of it, Becoming Aware, Fairy Tales and the Realities of Marriage. So it basically focused on what I would say like unspoken expectations. Um, it hit a lot on how people imagine marriage to be compared to how marriage really ends up being. It also focused a lot on personal ambassadors, which is kind of the same philosophy as impression management. So it talked about how people actually put their best foot forward when they're dating, and they continue doing that, but no one kind of goes back and corrects that before they get married. So basically, one person may have an expectation that their partner is going to be a certain way, but that was actually the partner's ambassador, personal ambassador. It wasn't who the partner really is as a person. And not to say that this is like super negative, but it brought to light a lot of things that people I think are unaware about their partners going into a marriage, and some of those things could potentially cause conflict when you learn them. Not even if you just learn about them after marriage, but I guess also learn about them later on in a relationship. So it was a very interesting chapter. At the end of it, there were some questions for us to discuss together. And then we have a action step that we have to do. We haven't done the action step yet, but the questions we thought maybe we would go over during this live. So, you go over the question?
Yeah, let's go. I'm
All
sorry,
right.
I'm sharing, guys. If y'all wondering.
So the first question was, what fairy tales exist in your relationship that need to be examined? So I guess for us, we would talk about what those fairy tales that existed before we got married. I guess if there's still some now, we can talk about those. But what are they? Do you think?
Well, I wrote in my book. I don't really think we had fairy tales that existed. Unless the only fairy tale that I had is how they say it, to the very 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 end, and that shouldn't be a fairy tale. It should be a reality. I definitely wrote that down. I don't know if I don't think that I had anything that. Actually, I take that back. Yes, I do. So I need to scratch that out. Um, I honestly thought that this is gonna sound so naive. I thought if this time around, if I didn't cheat, if I didn't
Yeah.
disrespect you, uh, if I didn't hang out all night and do all the things that I was doing before, that would make the marriage just 100% perfect because we were compatible as far as like having fun and the way we love one another. And I just thought that everything would be great and there wouldn't be too many hiccups, so to speak.
Mhm.
So if that, I guess that's considered a fairy tale, then yeah, I didn't understand the full uh, principles of or the full scope of a marriage. I just thought those things right there. I thought I didn't call it naive. I still learning how to be a man. I don't want to say a man, but be respectful if that makes sense.
Right.
Be married. That's what I'm trying to say. So I just thought that those no cheating. You had a good career. My career was okay. We were financially whatever, we were good. Uh, and as long as we didn't cheat and all in those basic what's supposed to be things that's uh, normal. If I didn't do none of those, we would be fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the other hiccups. So
I agree because actually, I don't know if you remember this or not, but you don't remember me telling you that?
yeah, I do.
I kept saying like, because my thing was like, I was thinking to myself like, I think he has this idealized version of what marriage is gonna be like, and it's not gonna be like that. And I was saying like we need to be prepared for like if we should encounter things. He was like, his whole thing was kind of like what, like as long as nobody's cheating, that's the only thing that can destroy us is somebody cheating. As long as nobody's cheating, we good. And I kept saying that there was more to it, but I think maybe the fairy tale that I thought maybe existed was that I think I was pretty much a realist about being married, but maybe thinking it would go a lot smoother than what it then I guess I didn't expect to have as many hiccups as we initially had. So I didn't think that some of the issues that we encountered we would encounter.
Yeah,
I really didn't expect us to have because I didn't think we had this issue earlier, but maybe we did, but because we didn't talk about in depth, we just on superficial level. But I definitely didn't expect our communication level to be so um off as it was, and it's gotten better, but um I didn't expect that, so I guess that was a fairy tale part of it. And I'm trying to think what else I thought would be like kind of fairy tale-ish.
I didn't think my eyes would be so bad neither.
Really?
What? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
um, let's see. Then it says, any more fairy tale expectations?
Not for me.
I guess I'll say another one is that it was kind of hard because we met during COVID, like when COVID first started, and I think we became really, I don't want to say comfortable, but I think we kind of set our expectations to be like similar to what we were able to do during COVID, i.e., you know, we actually spent like a lot of time together. We wasn't so worried about necessarily working and stuff because everything, I don't know, it just seemed like even though we were dealing with COVID, it was still less stressful.
No,
like we wasn't as busy as we are now or something.
It
You
definitely
know what I'm
was
saying?
less stressful.
Yeah. Um, and probably think, and because of that, and because of what was going on with COVID and everything was before prices and everything started skyrocketing, like we were able to travel a lot more and everything else. So we did do that too. Um, and it was kind of just more of a freer, I think, time in our relationship than we're in now. But yeah, I would think that's the fairy tale expectation.
But I would in the positive part of it, being around you as much because the regulations of COVID, everybody shutting down. That also let me know that I can marry you though, because if I could be around you that long and confined and still not kill you, or vice versa, then uh, it also let me know that I could be around you. I mean, be around you for life and be a better person for you because you just being around you that much, you were dope.
Okay. So it says, name one unspoken expectation of each of you have of one another. After you name that expectation, allow the other person to respond. Is it real? Is it something he can do? Or how would she alter it? Oh, shoot.
So I don't really, uh, And so I didn't these questions as I was reading them, they didn't really. Uh, I didn't. I just it's just not for me. Like because I don't have any unexpected expectations of you. But I was like we just was talking a little bit about that earlier. I want you to be you. Uh, so I don't know if I have any expectations of you.
I
like
think you do sometimes.
I don't. Such as
I
what?
do. Well, I mean, unspoken expectation could be anything.
Yeah, but I don't. I don't.
Just,
I don't
I'll
really,
give you a recent example.
okay.
So remember the time we were talking about um
You
um
get like old people.
no, listen, we were talking about working, and then I was like, well, okay, so we have to figure out something um with your daughter for when you go to work, and then you had just expected that I would be available to watch after her while you
I
were
don't.
at work, and you was like, you even admitted you were like you were kind of surprised because you hadn't thought, and then when I started explaining to you like, okay, well this could happen, this could happen, and you hadn't even considered that, so that's like an unspoken expectation, like you expected me.
Well, that's because you are. We are. Well, that's
But I'm
because
just
you
saying,
already have been doing that though.
I know, but I'm saying it was still an unspoken expectation. Like we never talked about like what should happen now if you went
Oh,
into office full
okay.
time or anything like that. Like that was so you like just unspoken expectation.
Yeah, yeah. You go. I give you that one. Okay.
Yeah, and
So
I think another one is that um
now you about to come up with.
I'm not,
You about to
but
say
I think you also have an unspoken expectation. Now, Jermaine, let's be real. I think in some respects you figure that I'll take care of things. You don't verbalize it, but you kind of you do.
things like what?
Just things.
No,
Yeah, you do.
no, no.
Yeah, you do.
I don't.
Yes, you
I
do.
don't. You don't take care of cutting the grass.
But you do have an unspoken expectation.
No,
I'll do
I
that.
don't think that. I don't necessarily. Ooh, boy, I don't think that's true.
How do you figure?
Because I don't just be like, oh, if something happens, she'll take care of it. I don't expect that. I don't. Yeah, no.
Okay, well, do you sit there and say, hey, the gas bill is due. Hey, the electric bill is due. You have an unspoken expectation that those things will just get taken care of. That I'll take our money out of our account and pay them. You have that expectation. Like
So how can it be
look, if we
unspoken if you've been doing it all
but
the
that's what I'm
time?
saying.
Lois?
I've been doing it because it's been expected of me.
Well, because you started doing it. No, it ain't been expected.
There's no way.
If you
We went 2 months, right? If we went 2 months and then everything just start getting cut off and your phone start getting cut off and stuff, you would be shocked. You'd be like, "What the hell happened?" I just said, "Well, I just didn't pay nothing." You'd be like, "What'd you do with the money?" Oh, it's still there. I just didn't pay anything. I just didn't feel like paying bills. You have an expectation that I'll go into the account. I'll just pay the bills that need to be paid.
okay, so that's not unspoken. That's not.
That is very much
It is
unspoken.
not because if you started off doing that,
But we never discussed it. That's what
all right then.
unspoken-
So why if we never discussed it, why you start off doing it?
But I'm just saying that's what unspoken. But that's what I have unspoken expectation
Well,
is.
you had an unspoken expectation of
No, I
to do
started
it.
doing it because you wasn't gonna do it.
How you know that? You did it before me and kept doing it.
See, that's what I'm saying. So it was an unspoken expectation. I would just continue in that role.
You should have started off doing it.
Well, it's an unspoken expectation. I would just continue in that role.
Come here, I got one for you.
You know, I'm being for real.
Me too.
That's what the unspoken
You
expectation.
started off doing that and stopped.
But I'm just saying, babe. So those are unspoken. It means things we never discussed.
We ain't discussed you stopping.
Okay, but we never discussed anything with regards to it. Until we actually had the conversation the other day. Remember, I had the conversation with you in the kitchen. I said, you know what? I just need you to do blah 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 blah. Especially with bills, like if you can just pay them and let me know what we can discuss what we paying out of what account and all that stuff, which you still haven't done. But that's why I felt like it was time to I need to have that conversation.
All right. Well, you just answered the question for me. So, what is the unspoken expectations of me?
Oh, I'm bad at that because I just assume, and I admit that, like, the counselor has told me that I need to do better as far as communicating that stuff because I assume that just because I think a certain way, Jermaine think a certain way, or just because I do things a certain way, or I actually assume that he would pick up on it and then do it that way because hey, this is what she this is what she like. So that's one of my unspoken expectations. But I think I have tried to vocalize that more now to you. Um,
Yeah,
but
you put
that's
sticky notes everywhere.
yeah, put sticky notes everywhere that you don't follow still.
That's a dang. Oh,
Why are those sunglasses on the thing now?
Because I just took them off
No,
today.
no, you didn't take them off today. Those was on there. First they were on a trash can in the bathroom. Now they're on the counter. And then I'm just like, whatever. And then earlier there was like the cleaning stuff was on the counter and the soap thing. I'm like, why didn't you just put these away?
What cleaning stuff?
Did you not put it up there?
No.
Well, you saw it on there.
No, I didn't.
Whatever.
I
Anyway,
didn't even see the sunglasses.
so like the unspoken, he would just know to do certain things. He could kind of always know when I'm irritated about something.
No, I do know that.
Or when I'm being passive aggressive because he didn't do something, and sometimes he don't really catch up on
Yeah,
those
I don't
hints.
catch up on that.
I'd be like, how come he? Okay, so he don't get that I'm salty about this? No, you don't.
No, I don't.
So this would be unexpected expectation. Let's see, is it something? Is it real? Is it something that you can do? How would you alter it? I already said how I alter it. I think to communicate better about what my expectations are. And then I guess since Jermaine doesn't know that he puts unexpected expectations on me, to when I feel like that, communicate those to you too. Say, well, I feel like you're expecting me to blah, blah, blah. And so just back to communication. Okay, then it says, how have media portrayals of marriage, good and bad, influenced your expectations of a good marriage?
So I want to, they were talking about how the TV shows and movies and stuff influences marriage. I never actually, what I wanted to address, I never actually thought about that because I'm not that deep of a thinker, but they were using especially the African American shows like the Jeffersons and how Georgia would always argue with Weezy and stuff like that. And they hid that with the comedic, how you say it, comedic aspect of the show, trying to make it funny. But by me reading that, I tentatively agree with it. Actually, I don't. I do agree with it. But when you're watching it, you don't really. That's how they get you, because when you're watching it, subliminal. Thank you. When you're watching it, you're laughing, but it's being imprinted in your mind. That's how marriages are. Like I never like looked at it and be like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to get married because of that. But when you look at it, it's imprinting that marriages are always argumentative, and this is how you're supposed to act in a marriage, and this is how the typical marriage is. So I can understand where they were going with that, and I just wonder how does that really affect people in marriage? Does it really trickle down into people's minds like that subliminally? You know what I mean? So that was interesting to me. And then they said it's they described the difference in the other shows in the African American cultures shows. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because I mean, I guess things could trickle in your mind like that. I just don't think my mind works like that. I don't think that stuff influences me.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, even if you're talking about like not even somewhere you got your idea about so even if it wasn't from the media, somewhere you got an idea about, okay, as long as I don't cheat and respect her, that makes a good marriage. I mean, you got that from somewhere.
Well, I got that from being disrespectful and cheating, because that's where a lot of my arguments came from. So I wasn't arguing about nothing else. Reference. Yeah, I wasn't arguing about nothing else. And then most of I don't want to say a lot of people that I associated with, a lot of their marriages problems came from them hanging out late, coming in late, cheating, and things like that. So that's why I got it from. My thought process was that's what I did before. Other than that, we really didn't have any issues. So I mean, with you, we just was super compatible and had fun around each other and got along, and everything was damn near perfect. So if I didn't do none of those other things, like what would be wrong? Like what could go wrong? So I had been into I understood the uh being a step parent or whatever you want to say, the bonus dad, whatever you want to say. So I've been in that situation several times. So I understood that component of it. I understood the component if the father's in the life or if the father's not, and how to handle that. So all of that to me was not a big problem. Like it is not a big problem now. So I figured again, if I didn't do those things, then we'd be perfect.
See, so I don't know.
But I don't think the TV. Matter of fact, I've never looked at a TV show and been like, I don't. Well, actually, I take that back. The Cosby Show, but that was one of the only positive shows we had as black people or culture or whatever. I remember at a young age, like, yeah, I would like to be like that. Matter of fact, that's probably why I wanted to. I told you one of my fantasies was to marry a lawyer.
I don't think. I think that for the most part, the influence I maybe have gotten from marriages on the media in the media probably has something to do with the template or the format for how a marriage should work. So with the respect that finances being combined, because you always see that on TV where their finances are combined. I never subscribed to the stay-at-home mom thing and all that stuff, so that part didn't really have a big influence. I would say if it did have an influence, it motivated me to go in the opposite direction of that because it irritated me so much. So that was one of the things. Um, but I don't think any other aspect of it. Maybe, well, I'll say maybe like shows like the Brady Bunch maybe made me think that it was easier to handle larger families in marriage than what it really is. And then they also gave, I would say that uh, with them being a blended family, maybe kind of impacted how I view that, and that may be one of the fairy tales too. That I thought that a blended family would be a lot easier than what it is, and it's not what is not Brady Bunch at all thing to me. Either that or maybe I missed the episodes of Brady Bunch where it has so much issues, but uh, it's nowhere close to that. So that may be a fairy tale thing of mine, too, with the whole blended family aspect of it.
So, and I wanted to say something else too. You finished?
Hmm.
All right. I want to say something. There was one particular thing in here, paragraph that I was reading when it was talking about basically when you the ambassador stage,
Hmm.
you putting your best foot forward or your best self forward. Explain to because I'm not going to explain it appropriately if I have to
Hmm.
explain it. How they were setting up the ambassador thing, like how they said you send the ambassadors from a country to meet the other ambassadors to
Hmm.
demonstrate.
Hmm.
Explain that because I can do it better off of that.
Oh, so like they were saying, like if you have an ambassador from a country, they're going to represent the country. So ambassador from the United States represents the United States to Russia, and their ambassador represents Russia. But basically, of course, the United States ambassador and Russia ambassador is going to make their countries look as good as they possibly can to each other, right? So if I don't really know what Russia is like as an ambassador because I can only base that off of what they're telling me. And Russia, they don't really know what the U.S. is like because they can only base it off of what I'm telling them. And we're both trying to make the country sound perfect. And that's how he explained it as far as
All right,
marriages.
and the parallel is that they were saying that when you first meet, you're putting yourself is you are sending an ambassador for yourself to make yourself look perfect, basically,
Mm-hmm.
right? And each party does that. What I found interesting was that what did I find interesting? Oh, when they was talking about you can do that, and while doing that, you don't tell that person everything
Mm-hmm.
about you and your past experiences
Right.
and this, that, and the third. And as you go on in the relationship, someone may actually get lost in that and forget who the real them are. It is real them
Who they are as a
who they
person.
are as a person. So I find that very interesting because I've done that before. Uh, you get so in
You just said that the other day.
yeah, you get so in intertwined in trying to be so perfect for that person, then you forget some of the core values of you, and then you start agreeing with things that you may not have agreed with, and then it annoys you and frustrates you, and then that ends up. And this is what they basically were saying. That ends up that annoyance ends up piling up and piling up and piling up, and it just causes deeper problems. So I thought that was very true.
How so?
It just does because that happened with me, you and I, well, with me towards you a couple times. Um, I mean, I know you already told me about that. I don't know. I can't give you the situation. You know me, I push things back, but I just not wanted to say things or say something about whatever situation, and then it just like I don't know. It sits there and piles up, and if I'd have spoke on it or whatever the case may be, it probably could have went away. And then at times I have felt as though that I lost or I changed so much that I lost who I was or who I am. And maybe that person didn't need to be there anyway, but is just still I just got what they were saying. Period.
And the funny thing is about Jermaine has said repeatedly that that he keeps saying you when I met you, you wasn't to yourself. And I think a lot of that is true, but the more I think
99% of it is
but
true.
the more I think about it, the more of it was also me engaging in impression management, right? So like, because of course, I'm a lot more outspoken now than I was before, but a lot of that was me kind of tailoring that because you don't want to come off as that person when you're getting to know someone. So that was part of impression management too. And I think one of the good things that this book points out is that it says when you let ambassadors, fairy tales, and fantasies into your marriage, you will find yourself playing chess on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
When you hold on to things or you don't share how you truly feel, you are planning your next move on the chessboard. And that is so true. And it becomes so exhausting when you do that. Uh, and I've actually found myself doing that too. Um, where I hold on to things. I won't say certain things because I'm still in that mode. I don't want him to come off this way, or I don't want him to think this because I said this. I don't want him to feel a certain way. And some of it, like he was saying, like a lot of that, your fear to speak, a lot of that is not even based in like reality or how the person is really going to react. But then again, some of it is though. I feel like sometimes you can tell how your partner may react to something based on how they reacted to something similar or close before, and so that kind of hinders um you wanting to say anything as well.
So, and then it's another thing right here that I just wanted to hit on as well. It was like in your relationships, you are called to understand each other on a level that is uncomfortable to access. It says you should feel comfortable opening up yourself to your beloved one and feel safe doing so. So I totally agree with that. But what it didn't say is, I wrote it down right here. Your partner also need to make you feel comfortable in doing so, because while you should feel safe and comfortable opening up, I think some kind of way, however that is, you only feel safe and comfortable opening up to someone if you can do it and knowing that that other person is gonna receive. How I don't know, you know what I mean? Like
That they're
they're
gonna
gonna be
receive it.
receptive of it, and respond to you with love and respect or something.
Well, that's yeah.
If you feel as though that you're not gonna get the caring response or respect, then it's hard to open up to somebody, or and that's just it's hard to open up to anybody, and you don't think you're being heard.
Well, I think, and a lot of that comes from too. That's what I was talking about when I said that fear. Like a lot of times we don't say things because out of fear.
Yeah,
We fear how you're gonna react. We fear that you're gonna. I don't even know if it's so much as they gonna look at us differently, but more so than how they gonna react. But I think also what we fail to realize is that sometimes we say things like in passing, it may not even have anything to do with it. That makes a person be like, "Yep, I ain't gonna ever tell him that," or "I'm not gonna ever say that to him because this is how he already told me how he felt." Like you've done that sometimes where I can't give exact, but you said something like, "Man, if this happened, I would blah blah blah." I'm like, "Yeah, okay. Let me not. I ain't never finna tell him that because he just said."
Oh, so you didn't cheated on me?
No, nothing like that.
Yeah, because that's what I said. If,
No,
if
it's
you
not
ever
cheating.
cheat on me, I'm leaving.
No, it
You
ain't
didn't
cheating.
cheat. She just told
I ain't cheating.
on live. You just told on yourself.
Now, I ain't even been nowhere to cheat. I'm not even away from you long enough to cheat.
Yes, yeah, you know it don't take me a number 2 minutes.
You know what?
Ooch and a ouch and they done.
But no, it's been stuff like that. Or he said like, this is how we react, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't think I want to mention this situation to him that I went through before because this is what he's saying. So like sometimes we don't even know that we'll just be saying generally how we feel about something, and it makes a person not say something. I've told him before, like some things I was in, and this is not, I mean, it's not a secret. Like I've even said in counsel, like some things I've been hesitant to say, even about um my bonus kids, because like he gets so offensive sometimes, and I'm like, or defended, so offensive, and gets right on the defense about it. And I'm just like, okay, like I just won't even say anything because I don't. He's gonna take it wrong. So like even in those instances, we can be making our partner feel uncomfortable and not know that we are by saying that.
Well, it was something else that I had and I can't find it. We was talking about it outside about keeping stuff from one another. Well, basically, yeah, I was saying that he was talking about keeping certain things from each other, being going back to the ambassador you or whatever. I think that for the most part, uh, I'd say about 85, 90%. For the most part, I told her early on about all my darkest uh, secrets. So she ain't told me nothing about her.
Coated in candy.
Or whatever that
he gave me candy coated dark secrets.
Yeah, if that's what you want to say. So
you did.
Anywho,
you really did. You don't think you did?
I don't.
Yeah, you did.
I don't.
I
told you about the persona and the perception of what people thought about me. I told you about my past experiences.
Yeah, but even some of those you told me later, but you did say it as the reason why you didn't tell me initially because you didn't want to lose. That's what you said.
Well, that was as far as that one particular.
It was
thing.
Some other stuff too. You said that you did that about.
Well, okay. Well, the most the like I said, 85 to 90%, but the most things that I think could have really as far as the women, things like that, what people perception of me was and how they portrayed me because of the things that I did and how I acted. I told you most of that crap was false, but even on the same, the same thing, those things were to me was detrimental. I don't think the other stuff was detrimental or could have been as detrimental, and the things that you're speaking of, yeah, I didn't tell you that. Yes, I said because I was afraid to lose you, because that was really after I really started liking you. Like I was damn near in love with you. I wanted to suck on your toe or something. So it's like, yeah, those things, yeah. But for the most part, it's the things that would have scared you. My thing was this. I'll put it like this. If I told you everything about the women, right? And you ain't going nowhere because of my past, I didn't think you were going nowhere after that. Or it would have been hard for you to go somewhere. So if you stayed after that, I figured I could walk you down with the rest of it slowly but surely like I did. So
by the way, I forgot to mention this.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this part.
I tell you, I had 6 kids over here by 7 different women. So yeah.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that he talks about how people find themselves walking into marriages with profound secrets. And that's interesting because I think it's a lot of people that do. There are a lot of profound secrets that people go into marriages with, but then it doesn't. I don't know what I know what profound secret is, but then it begs the question when he, like you mentioned the other day when he said you don't tell her anything. So I'm like, okay, what secrets are there? Any secrets that you can go into a marriage with and not have to disclose? And those be okay. The only thing I can think of is stuff that's not gonna come back and potentially hurt the marriage, I guess, because I don't know if you need to tell them like, well, I've had 50 sex partners. But
I don't even know if you got gangbang.
Well, I mean, and that's for some people that's true, but maybe that's what I'm saying. So I don't know where you draw the line at with that because there was actually a guy, an instance where somebody was sharing something on Facebook where a guy actually left his wife of so many
Yeah,
years, like he'd been with her for a long time, but found out like in college that she got a train ran on her or something,
yeah.
and he like divorced her because of that. And I guess that was something that he really needs to know, but
Well, no, it's
I
something
don't
that
know
he
what is
really
it. Is it
didn't
too
need to
much?
know.
Right. I mean,
Obviously.
that's what I'm saying. But when is it too much? When is it oversharing? Or should
Well,
anything
so
about your past be kept a secret from your spouse? I don't know.
so it goes back to what I said. Like I would that situation you just used about the guy, right? The reason that I told you about what I had done is because of just that. I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
not tell you that, and then because we have obviously and I'm glad I did
Mm-hmm.
because people came to you and said certain things that wasn't true,
Right.
and but I told you about my past. So if I told you these things truthfully, and then somebody came to you and said that,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier for you to believe me and when I say, yeah, that one didn't happen, that didn't happen like that,
Mm-hmm.
because I've already told you everything I've done. Now
Mm-hmm.
if I told you nothing
Mm-hmm.
and they would have came and said that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really, you know what I mean? That's like I can say no, I didn't do it, but then I'm lying to you.
Right. So then my question then, okay, say if in your previous marriage, right, you cheated one time, but that wasn't the demise of your marriage. Like you stayed married 20 years after that. That wasn't the do you tell your next spouse, hey, back
Yeah,
when I was married the first time I cheated once, we got through it, blah 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 blah. I mean,
yeah,
is that something
I
that you have to
would.
tell them? Why?
I mean, you don't have
I
to.
mean, is it a make or break this marriage type thing or what?
It depends on the person, because if that could be uh for someone, if they not for a cheater, then that could be a make or break for them. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like for me, if that's what I did, and I mean, because at the end of the day, with what I did in my last marriage, I told you how much of an asshole I was.
Hmm.
So for me not to tell you that,
Hmm.
I would have been, to me, I would have been doing, for my personal belief, I'd have been doing a disservice to you,
Hmm.
because that's something you need to know. Um, now you get to judge if you want to take a chance on that type of love again. I
Hmm.
could sit here and tell myself all day long, yeah, I'm not going to do it and never do it again.
Hmm.
But it's not fair to you to not to know, in my opinion.
So then, okay, so then here's the reverse of that though. But then you tell someone all this, and even though you know that that's never going to happen again, now they walking around not, even though they stay with you, not fully able to feel comfortable with you because for fear that you might go back to doing that. So was it worth it at the end?
For my conscience, it was. I mean, because at the end of the day, you could.
Or is it better just to say, okay, I didn't tell him, but it's the reason why I didn't because I knew that's not who I am as this person, and I rather I wouldn't want them to feel this entire marriage that I'm gonna go and cheat on them.
Well, so now here's the thing. Okay, let's say you felt like that, right? And I've everything that I've done now, like we're rarely apart. We're
Mhm.
not apart long enough for. I mean, let's. Hey, I'm going to the store. Hey, girl, meet me right at the stop sign for about 2 minutes. Like
Mhm.
seriously, that's the
Mhm.
only how it could happen,
Mhm.
right? Now, if you're that extra,
Mhm.
thinking that it's going to happen like that, then just like I gave you the opportunity to walk away,
Mhm.
I have the same choice, because you're doing that, because I haven't done anything to you to do that. And then it's like, okay, I was just going to the store. And that's something that because if you're that
But
extra,
what if a person not extra? What if it's just because you planted that seed there?
well,
Like for
okay,
for
so then,
example, even in your circumstance, how you said you was an asshole and this is how I acted. This is what, like that stayed with me for a while.
okay,
Having to reconcile. Okay, when we get in art, and you know that because I've
okay,
always said like that's one of my fears is that okay, so when's he gonna get to the point where he said he was unhappy, so this is why he did this and this and that. So it takes a while to even get. I'm trying to think. Have I passed that? Better than I was. But like it takes a while to even get past something like that. So
okay.
was
But
it worth it to tell me that or you just be who you are now?
no, I think it was worth it, because at the end of the day, you even if you're not past it, I'm not doing anything to trigger it, so it's not bothering me. Now, if I was going out, now I tell you what, I can't answer that, because you're not doing anything to say for me not to say it. If I say, hey, I'm going out with Trey, and then you're calling me every 10 minutes.
No,
Well,
not even that. But I'm saying, like, what if I'm like remember you talk about like being unhappy and arguing. So then that, and to be honest, that right there was another thing. So there you go, personal ambassador. Told you that right there is another thing. Okay, let me not say what I want to say or say too much, because if I say too much, he's gonna say we arguing all the time. If he thinks we arguing all the time, then that's gonna lead to him being unhappy, like he said he was before, because that's what they did. They argue all the time. I ain't trying to argue with him all the time. I'm just trying to tell him how I feel, but I can't do that because if I do, that type of thought. So they ain't got necessarily nothing to go do with you going out. But like even with how I feel about expressing certain things, because like, okay, I don't want to seem like I don't want to say anything that may cause an argument, because how many arguments is two arguments? Too many arguments for him. That type of thinking.
okay, but then that's something that at that point that's something that ain't really becoming a burden to me. You're burdening yourself with that.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. Is it fair for you if to burden for your partner to be burdened with that?
But you, and again, by me telling you, you got the option if you wanted to deal with it or not. And that goes back to what I said. You have the option if you feel as though because I said that, and then now you can't express yourself in a way because you're worried about me. If that's too big of a burden, that individual has the right to walk away.
Well, let's go.
Oh well,
Going to the courthouse.
good life.
That's why
I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, and
I think you should. I think you need to try to. I think people need to be fair to their partners too, because at the end of the day, people are human, right? Certain things stick with their partners. I think if you know your partner well enough to know that they're an anxious person, or that they're a person who, if you say something to them, it's going to stick with them, even though that's not what your intent was. I think that's how you kind of determine some of that stuff, especially if you know that that's not what you're going to do again. Like if somebody, if that happened when they were back when they were 25 and they were doing that, and now they 45 and they ain't did it in 20 years. And why would you tell your partner that and then have them worried about whether or not you're going to do something like that?
Well, then why should you, if your partner cheat on you, if you go cheat on me, why should you come back and tell me then if you know you never?
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about stuff that happens.
Same.
It's not either, because that's something that you did. No, because you violated your marriage at that point.
What?
We're talking about things that happened before you got married.
I ain't gonna never do it again.
No, that's totally different.
No, I ain't gonna never do it again. How is it totally different?
Totally different.
If me telling you it's gonna ruin my marriage, it's the same thing as me. If me cheating on you and I know I ain't gonna never do it.
I'm not talking about whether or not something's gonna ruin a marriage. I'm talking about
essentially what's happening.
No, I'm talking about that's totally different, because we're talking about violating a marriage. That's breaking a vow. Ain't nobody said nothing about breaking a vow. There's a difference. No, you don't break vows in your marriage.
Only difference in the consequence, which is a big difference. Only difference in the consequences is that which you still got to answer to God from the first one. So you still got to answer to God for both of them. So at the end of because if I was in my last marriage and I cheated, right, and I told you about it, I still got to answer for that sin. If I'm in this marriage and I cheat and I say I'm never going to do it again, I still got to answer to God for that sin. So what I'm saying to you is, what I am saying to you is, because I cheated in the last marriage, and if I know it's going to bother you because you anxious and all that other stuff, so I shouldn't tell you because I know I ain't going to never do it again. That ain't who I am. What is the difference between that and I never do it again? Then me cheating now and then say, you know what, that was a big fucking mistake. I said, no, which I know cheating is not a mistake, but whatever. That's a big mistake. I'll never do that again. I'm not going to tell her because I know it could possibly ruin my marriage.
I'm talking because the difference is I'm talking about whether or not you should tell secrets or something that you did before you got married, before you even got with this person. The difference is an action that happens before you with somebody and an action that happens while you're with somebody. That's a huge difference.
That can give you the same results.
It's a huge difference.
But it gives you the same results.
Because one is a breaking of a no, it don't. Because you could have somebody that isn't anxious and you tell them, hey, I cheated in my last marriage, and you say that to them, and they're like, okay, fine, whatever. And then they don't care. But if you cheat while you're in the marriage with them, then they do give a fuck and they leave you. So it's not the same reason. I'm sorry. So they do care. So there's two different results. It's not the same result. For some people, there's a difference of whether or not something occurred during the marriage as opposed to it occurred before the marriage.
You just sat there and said you should think about it. And what if you know?
I'm saying if you've done something, if
Who
it's
yelling at?
you, I'm saying if it's
Who
something in
yelling
your
at?
past.
Is anything in this book about saying smacking the hell out your wife for yelling at you in front of people?
I'm saying if it's something about your past, then that's what I'm talking about.
I'm sorry, I'm playing about.
I'm preferencing that. I'm not saying anything about things that you do while you're married. I think that's a no brainer. No, you don't keep secrets while you're married. Things that you've done while you're married and keep those a secret. I don't agree with that at all. I'm talking about things in your past because for one, some people can't possibly tell everything that happened in their past because they don't remember.
Happy.
I'm pretty sure there's plenty of women that you didn't slept with or did other things, but that you don't remember. Matter of fact, if somebody popped up with a kid right now, you probably wouldn't remember that you didn't mess with them, and then that's still something I got to deal with.
Somebody pop up with a kid and say it's yours.
No, I know if I'm pregnant, but I'm just saying. So like that's totally different. That's a huge difference. That's not the same thing at all.
If you say so.
I can't believe you went there.
But hey, didn't we read something somewhere or heard something somewhere where they said that happened about somebody cheating in a marriage and they asked that question? Should you tell them if you never know you're gonna? I mean, if you know that you're never gonna do it again? Did we read that somewhere?
I think somebody did say that. I think I've heard people say that. I think I've heard ministers allude to that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I don't agree to that at all. I think I don't think there's anything that you should be doing while you're married. That's a secret. And you don't tell your partner that you did it. I don't agree with that at all. I just really don't.
And that's hard.
Now, like whether or not, like, something that happened before marriage, for example, if a person had, when they were 20, had gonorrhea from somebody he was dealing with, do you have to tell your partner that you once had gonorrhea? No, because you ain't still got it. But I'm just saying, but you don't have to tell your partner that your new spouse that, hey, when I was 20, I contracted gonorrhea. I mean, if you want to, you can, but I don't think that should be a make or break.
Yeah, well, I think you should tell me because I want to lick on you. And
if the person had gonorrhea and they said
it may still be some remnants.
No, you tripping. Or for some women, for example, what if they had an abortion when they were 18? Do they have to tell their current spouse at 40 that they had an abortion?
It depends.
When they were 18?
It depends. And now that's a little bit different because
why?
Let's say it affects you mentally. Having an abortion, because you never know what happens. Like if you're the type of person that's going to affect you mentally, then maybe it's a situation where we didn't have XYZ amount of kids and we not planning on having anymore, and then I don't know if you're going to call it an accident, but you end up pregnant, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I don't want any more kids. Can we terminate this pregnancy? And then you can't do it because of that. You know what I mean? Like maybe our goal would only have 2 kids. Then we have 2 kids and, we do everything possible. And then I'm thinking that we're going to terminate.
Yeah, but couldn't you just say, isn't that something y'all could discuss beforehand without having to say that that the person had an abortion beforehand? Like, couldn't the person just say, I'm just against abortions? Or do they have to say, I'm against abortion because when I was 18, I had an abortion?
Well, no, yeah. From that, yeah, you're right. You're right on that aspect. From that aspect. So, yeah. But, I mean, if it's something like some people.
But I see what the mental trauma.
Yeah, it actually traumatizes some people. And if you sitting there one day and we watching TV and a girl having an abortion and you just break out crying.
Yeah.
What the hell wrong with you? Was your baby or something? You know what I mean? And because I'm the type of person that say some crazy stuff like that and it affect you, and I hadn't said something that didn't make you worse.
Yeah, that's true.
So
in that respect, yeah. But so yeah, I think if definitely if there are things that happen that's gonna have lingering impact on you, that impacts how you are interacting with people currently in present time, and impacting even how you move in relationships, then that's definitely something that you should, talk about. So if you were sexually assaulted at 18 and that impacts how you view sex or what sexual things you like and don't like, then I would think you probably would disclose that. in some form or manner. But yeah, that's
That
interesting about what you should and shouldn't disclose and the reasons why we don't.
that's yeah. Going back to that though, like dude. So, well, I mean, I guess I kind of heard what you said. I was trying to read something right quick. Yeah, it's somebody that's been sexually assaulted, male or female.
Hmm.
Uh, is that something that need to be disclosed? Like you said, if it affects how you feel sexually, or if a person touch you, if your loved one touch you in a way that makes you triggered or
Jumpy or something,
something, yeah.
yeah.
So maybe.
Then that would be important. But the only other thing I thought I wanted to talk about, because this whole chapter, like I said, was interesting to me. But when he mentioned masking, and I noticed I did a
Yeah,
lot of that too.
I
Um,
actually was looking for that.
he was talking about like in relationships, especially new ones, we tell ourselves that the habits or behaviors that bother us about the other person aren't a big deal. We convince ourselves that we can ignore these problems, but that is not true. And that's a big one. And we do a lot of
See, I
masking.
did that too.
Yep, see, I marked it too because we do mask it, um, and try to just deal with it because it's like, well, either we like the person so much or we now in love with them, so it's like, okay, well, I can deal with this, I can deal with it, and and it's really a lot harder for you to deal with than what you imagine, or a lot harder. And even with your we talked about this before too, even with his whole situation that he's going through with the one of his kids' moms and stuff like that. That was a situation that I thought that I could deal with, but it's definitely a challenge. It's a lot harder than I realized it would be. It's challenging. Um, it's not something I would suggest other people agree to go through. But yeah, that was one of the things that I think I maxed.
Yeah, you did that quite well too, because I didn't even know it was. So with that situation, and I don't know if because of what happened when she tried to attack you, uh, and it didn't go her way. To me, how I think that was like the end all be all. I mean, like you can't, like, I don't know. I just thought because it didn't go her way, that it wouldn't affect you as much.
Yeah, but it's almost like saying just because a guy tried to rape you and wasn't successful, then you shouldn't be bothered by it.
If he tried to rape you, whew,
Say if a guy tried to rape you and you beat the hell out of him,
yeah,
and it's like saying, but you shouldn't be bothered by
no,
the
you
fact that
should.
he tried to bother,
So
that he
that's
tried
the
to
thing.
rape you.
I don't really think that it should.
Well, it is still bothersome. It's bothersome
It's
for the
like
fact
it.
that it's still you were still violated. Like you were still violated. You were still put in a situation that you shouldn't have been put in. You were still made to defend yourself when you shouldn't have had to. I mean, all that is a violation.
Yeah, I
And it
yeah.
makes you feel a certain way about it. It's not like you be kumbaya with that person now
Oh no,
just because they wasn't successful,
no,
or you
no,
can be cordial with them because they wasn't successful. Oh yeah, I remember you tried to rape me. Nah.
no. I understand that. That's like
And then
somebody.
like to constantly have to deal with them after that. That's like if you had an uncle that tried to rape you and they wasn't successful, but they constantly had Thanksgiving dinner. That's
Yeah,
kind of messed
yeah. When you
up.
put it like that, yeah. When you put it like that, yeah, I understand. I was going to say make another analogy, but when you put it like that, I get it. Because I was gonna say if somebody tried to rob me and I beat the hell out of them, I can see them all day long and they ain't gonna bother me. It's like you can't beat me.
Yeah,
So
but
rape is a
it
little
goes
bit
yeah,
extreme.
but it goes deeper than that. It's more than just the physical attack.
Well, I mean, when you say when again, if a dude tried to rob me and I beat the hell out of him, right? Me personally, I can see the dude all day long. He ain't gonna bother me. Now, when you put the rape part in it, that's a little bit different. And so I guess that could be, to me, it could be circumstantial. Uh, Again, when you say rape, yeah, like I would, it would be uncomfortable, like from the rape aspect, it'd be uncomfortable because that person's all the way around, always around. I get it, but I wouldn't feel, me personally. But I mean, it's different for a woman, I guess. It wouldn't be as bad because, like, I know, they tried that. It's uncomfortable, but if they try again, I beat the hell out of them again. Like, so that part is not. I know they can never be successful in that aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like, but who, like you said, who wants to defend themselves?
Yeah, who wants to just
Yeah.
constantly be around somebody that even tried that though?
Yeah.
Because next time, what if they try to rob you with a gun?
You know, beat the hell out of them with the gun.
If you can get to it before they shoot you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So like it's just it's the point. I mean the principle. So
I
like
get it.
that those things are a lot harder to deal with. So definitely that was masking. So yeah. Anyway, but it has been a good chapter. We got to do the action part of it because we haven't done that. The
What's the
extra
action
step,
part?
which is hold a meeting between your ambassador selves. Tell the other person's ambassador just how great your individual self is, and tell the person something you may have stretched a little just to impress them.
Yeah, we did do that.
No, we didn't.
Well, I did. I told you when we was walking up there. I think I was pretty. You said I wasn't. I think I was pretty straightforward.
So you didn't stretch anything.
I stretched that. Never mind.
You didn't stretch anything.
I mean, you said I did. I don't think I did. I just think you misinterpreted it. But you did say it didn't, intentions didn't matter. So if we're gonna go that route, then maybe. Because I mean, but that's just how I was living my life. So I don't think
you didn't stretch anything.
Nope.
Nothing about your history. Nothing. You didn't stretch anything.
Nope. I mean, but again, we talk about intentions. If we're talking about the separation,
You
then
intentionally stretched that.
I did not intentionally stress that. In my mind, that's what it was. And that wasn't intentionally nothing.
But you didn't. You told me you specifically didn't tell me the rest because of.
Because it looks suspicious. So
okay, so you didn't want. So that is. So you kept it. You perfectly. You intentionally didn't tell the rest of it because you thought it looked suspicious.
Okay, well then that's the only part then. That's the only part that I feel. All right, whatever.
Okay, whatever.
So anyway,
so that was that chapter. The next chapter is talking about understanding how two should become one. I think that's going to be really interesting because it's something that we keep talking about all the time. How when you're married, you become one with each other, and how you move as a unit. We talked about that last week too, so that'll be interesting in this chapter. But anyway, for some reason, I'm stay hungry.
Yeah, and we got 2 more minutes. I do want to say this. We had a conversation of what was the conversation about? Changing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was going back to the ambassador person of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things that we didn't do, which she still ain't. I figured out 2 of them, which wasn't who I was, but I was trying to become, which I'm going to go back to. Things that we didn't do, things that we don't do that we did when we first started talking. What I have learned and what I do know is this: the ambassador me is the person who I want to be for you. So that's why I kept asking you if there's what have I done, because I really want to know what am I not doing that I was doing then. Okay, we got the car door thing. Understand that. I implemented the kissing you in and out the car when we was in Iowa. I'm gonna get back to that, but those are things that's not me, or not the core of Jermaine, right?
To the ambassador, yeah, I know.
No, those are not the
ambassador. That's what they. That's
but
what
I added
no,
that's not, because that was because what happened was those was the changes that I was trying to implement, that I wanted to implement to become a better person, right? Whether it would have been with you or it would have been with anybody, I meant that. So, and I still want to do those little things like that. So I'm gonna get back to them.
Okay.
So being intentional about it.
Alrighty then. That's what he said he's gonna do. He's gonna be intentional, y'all.
Now, if you get your ass in the car before I open the door, that ain't my fault.
We're gonna see.
Because here's the thing. I told her that she should never touch a car door. She should never touch a door or anything while I'm around, unless she's driving. I'm not opening no driver door for her ass. She don't never drive, so that's not the problem. And I got away from that. I did get away from that. It's something that I wasn't just doing to impress her. It's something that I wanted to do in general. I think that we as men need to do those little things for our women. It's something that I, again, never done before. Prior to her, I wasn't doing it to impress her, but I was trying to implement that into the new version that I was trying to become. And I guess when you're doing things like that and it's not what you're accustomed to doing anyway, it may be harder to get away from. But you allowed me to get away from it too. Not saying it's your fault. You should call me out on it because I did tell you, and you now I know you remember this. I did tell you, and I told Zariah this too. I said, if we get in the car and I don't open the door, you stand there until I walk around there and open it. Now, did I say that?
You did.
But your ass just hop in the car anyway. So it's my
fault.
no, it's my
so
fault.
Now you victim blaming.
No, it's my fault. But that's how you hold me accountable. Because if I get in the car and you still standing there, matter of fact, you did it a couple times. And one time I was like, "Why the hell she's?" Oh, when I had to get out. So that's you don't have to say nothing. Your actions can say, "Nigga, you tripping." So all right, that's all I had to say.
That's all. All right. Anyway, next week we'll be back with the next chapter. So Wednesday.
Next 2 chapters. We're gonna have 2 chapters.
Oh, you're gonna do 2 chapters.
Yeah.
You're gonna be bold.
Hey, that's the other thing too. Something else I told guys, I hate reading, but I actually am enjoying this book. So
Yeah, you got little marks in here and stuff. I'm proud. This your book. I got more marks than
yeah,
mine.
you be drawing paragraphs.
I
But
don't
anyway,
have paragraphs.
all right, let's go. 8:30, between 8:30 and 8:40, we'll be on next week.
Next Wednesday.
We on CP time.
I don't know what that means.
Huh?
I don't know what that means.
You colors.
Whatever. All right.
Mwah.
Good night.
Peace, love, and Afro Grease. And I'm hot. It's 100 degrees in here. Jesus Christ.